The Lincoln cent has been seeing a lot of activity lately in the news, as many of you probably have seen as well. Will it be here? Will it not? We hear it every year about this time anyways, but usually that's an April Fool's Day topic. We'll find out. But that's putting a lot of pressure on the memorials, a lot of pressure on the Wheaties, and the one we're seeing the most pressure is our first ever series of small cents known as the Indians. And tonight, boy, do we have a bonanza for you. The bonanza we're talking about is not just a bunch of random, it is a huge bunch of random. We bought this deal of 6 bags and sorted through the bags and pulled out all the calls. You know, there's, again, with an old copper coin, you see a lot of overly worn pieces, dates, inscriptions, etc., not part of the process. But by going through this, while we're looking at the coins, they were sorting them by decades. And when the decades came out as the 80s, the 90s, and the early 1900s, the last 30 years, it was almost equally matched. So then it's like, okay, if that's the case, break those decades down and see how close we are. How many different do we have in this particular grouping? And the answer is, we have them all. It was one of the best groupings, which helps prove its originality, that I've seen in decades. And I've been doing this going back to when I had hair. So tonight, this is how it's going to work. There are $6.95 each. And that'll get you a random, beautiful copper circulated Indian head cent. If you buy 5, you'll get 5 different years. If you buy 10, you'll get 10 different years. If you buy 20, you'll get 20 different years. But tonight, as part of this project, we can do 30 different coins. Which basically means from the rounding out of what we have, if you go 30 years with this particular coin, the Indian head cent, 1909 being the last year, just decade yourself to where if you got every coin from 1880 to 1909, that would be 30. And that's not exactly what we have, but it's really close to that. So we're talking 30 different Indian head cents. Now, the Indian head cent was the first major copper small cent. The Act of 1857 changed how we looked at coinage, and we took the large cent we were so used to, and we shrunk it down to a small cent. We had something called a Flying Eagle cent in 1857 and 1858. Testing out the idea, how would the American public respond to a coin in copper this size, the value of a cent at that time? It went well. So then we introduced Lady Liberty to match all of our other coins in circulation, but we put an Indian head bonnet on her. Over a couple of years, we changed the name from the Liberty cent to the Indian head cent by nickname. It was issued from 1859 all the way through 1909, so actually 51 years. The unique thing about this was all of the coins in the 1880s, the 1890s, and the early 1900s were all made at the Philadelphia Mint. We only had one mint making the Indian head cent. At the very end, San Francisco jumped in and helped out a little bit in 08 and 09. I know those are not part of this grouping. They're hundreds each, and they're beautiful coins. So the Indian head cent, the 51 years, Philadelphia made them all. And then you have a couple S's at the end. That's the storyline here. 1909 comes around, we move to the presidential series, which is the push of Theodore Roosevelt, the Rough Rider Roosevelt, the first Roosevelt president. And that has been, well, the longest tenured coin in U.S. Mint history. We still have it today, the Shield cent of 2025. So tonight, again, it's not just randomness, it's a lot of randomness. If you want to get just 10 random Indian head cents, this is your deal. If you want to get 20, this is your deal. If you want to get 30, so understanding the series is 51 years, the most recent one 110 years ago, we can give you up to 30 different, which is about 60% of all of them ever made. Year-date scenarios. At just $6.95 each. Now, random coins, if you visit our competition, Most of the big networks don't offer these individually because they're not meeting the $100 minimum threshold to be sold on TV. But on their websites, they do support them. And two of them support the Indian Head cents because they're very popular. One of our biggest draws every day. They're at $11 to $13 for just a random coin. Right? We're $6.95 for a random coin. Their coin is in a flip. Our coin is in a Defender holder. That's what the name of the holder is, Defender. And it will give you the date, and obviously Philadelphia as the mint tied to it. All assembled for you. So in the big picture, here's the other side. We have 30 different, the last 30 years of the Indian Head cent. If you buy 30. Think about that. If you buy 30, you get the last 30 years at $6.95 each. My competition has a collection of 87 to 09, leaving out the rare ones, 23 coins, and they're at 262. So they have 23 coins, and they're $50 more than we are. We have 30 coins, and we're $50 less than they are. And the ones they're missing are the early 80s, which are the expensive coins, which, by the way, are in this deal. So, coppers, well, most of us cut our teeth in collecting with coppers. The Lincoln cent, most likely, right? The Wheaties or the Memorials, based upon when we were born. But tonight, the deal here is just special. $6.95 each. Upwards of 30 different coins. It'll be a mixture all across the board. But if you buy 30, it'll be 1880 all the way through 1909. We'll guarantee you, we'll guarantee the complete 30-year collection. The last 30 years of the Indian Head cent, Philadelphia strikes, as you're seeing on your screen. So even though I know I have a couple oddball coins into the late 1870s, we'll make, if you buy 30, the people in fulfillment will know to give you the last 30 years of issue. Guys, I've been rambling. I've loved this series. Give me a 30-second clock if you wouldn't mind, please. The phones are jammed up. Do we sell them individually? Yes. We have decades available on our website, avccoins.com. So if you want the teens, the 20s, right? The teens, which will be the last decade, the 1890s, the 1880s, we have them broken down, plus individually, not all in this holder. But tonight, the cost per coin in the holder on top of it all is the best here at $6.95. So again, buy one, get one random, buy 10, get 10 random, but by 30, we guarantee the last 30 years in this beautiful holder to boot at just $6.95 a coin. That's something special. And it's why we call this segment the Daily Deal.